Combs, welcome to our show. Phones are open. We ask only name and town. That's all we want to know before we put you on the air. At 877-367-2526. 877-4-ALLEN is our number. And there's lots to respond to if you care to. And we hope you do. Obviously, the gay issue is just kind of taken over so much of what is going on in the media and in the news. And the overreaction on the part of the Republicans on this is really astounding. I played you some of what Michelle Bachmann has had to say. But she wasn't the only one. I mean, I mentioned that Mike Huckabee said that Jesus, he tweeted that Jesus wept, which is, I mean, are these not overreactions? When you have Pat Robertson saying, it's the end of civilization, our founders wouldn't recognize what's going on in this country, says Michelle Bachmann. And Tim Hulskamp of Kansas, a Republican, was speaking at the Heritage Foundation today, expressing his belief about how our children will be hurt by this, I think this was yesterday, this gay decision.
Oftentimes what gets lost in this is the real issue here is marriage, but our children. Decades of social science research and centuries of American history and U.S. history has shown that every child deserves a mom and a dad. And with this ruling today, they have further redefined marriage. And I think at the end, children will be hurt.
Well, no one's forcing, if you're gay, you're not going to marry someone of the opposite sex anyway, so you're never going to be a mom and a dad to somebody. It totally misses the point. You can run around saying, well, everybody deserves a mom and a dad, but, what is a family? What does a family really mean? Who decides what a family is? Should the government be deciding that? And Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council was on CNN with Wolf Blitzer talking about how this is going to lead to a loss of parental rights.
As this plays out in the jurisdictions that have adopted same-sex marriage, you're going to see a loss of parental rights as children are taught in school morals that are contradictory to their parents, religious liberty laws from business owners, bakers, florists, and others who are forced to comply with a different view of marriage, as well as even churches. In some places, religious organizations losing their tax exemption because they fail to comply with the force of the state in terms of redefining marriage. So I don't think this is over by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't think time is on the side of those who want to redefine marriage.
The country is moving in the wrong direction from what Tony Perkins here is saying. What are they so afraid of? It's interesting, Fred Karger, who said that people with these activists who have such a thing against gays or such strong objection to gay rights may have something in their past where they may have been abused or may have had a bad experience somewhere. He said that about Santorum. He said, I never said this before publicly, but, it seems to me, said Karger, that there must have been something maybe went on that causes someone like that to have such a thing against gays. It's really astounding, some of the responses here. We are at 877-4-ALLEN. By the way, we love our new callers as well. I always talk about getting new callers because we like to get new people on the show. 877-367-2526. We'll make it especially easy for you if you've never called a radio show before. And by the way, we only ask name and town before we put you on the air to make it especially easy to get through to this show. No pre-screening of content, of topic, of knowing what you're going to say before you say it on the air. Unlike most shows. In Texas, Rick Perry, who also has his eyes on the presidency once again, not particularly gay-friendly. They're installing voter ID laws in Texas immediately following the Supreme Court decision earlier this week. And they're trying to pass, or they tried to pass unsuccessfully, one of the most restrictive abortion laws. And Texas State Senator Wendy Davis was there demonstrating, which kind of got in the way of them being able to act in time to get the law done. And so Texas Governor Rick Perry directly attacked State Senator Wendy Davis by doing something called slut shaming. Slut shaming Wendy Davis. Basically, I'm trying to embarrass her because of her position, claiming that she is some kind of a woman. Well, here's what I mean.
In fact, even the woman who filibustered the Senate the other day was born into difficult circumstances. She was the daughter of a single woman. She was a teenage mother herself. She managed to eventually graduate from Harvard Law School and serve in the Texas Senate. It's just unfortunate that she hasn't learned from her own example, that every life must be given a chance to realize its full potential and that every life matters.
Maybe she did learn from her experiences. Slut-shaming, by the way, is making a woman feel guilty or inferior by engaging in certain sexual behaviors. Oh, she was a single mother. Rick Perry had to be ashamed of himself for that. Eunice in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Hi, how are you today?
Hi.
I have to tell you that I'm awfully disappointed in this ruling.
Which one? Which one?
Oh, the one on gay rights.
Why?
Primarily. Why? Because people are messing with things that they don't understand.
What makes you think they don't understand?
Well, because God decided a long time ago what a family is.
Says, well, that's your.
When you ask what is a family,
right.
God already has determined that.
Well, that's your opinion as a religious person, but other people may not. We have a country that is there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and what you may view as God's way may not be what I view or somebody else views, and the government should not be taking a position on a particular religion.
It's not taking a position.
Sure, it is. You're telling me what
religion.
You're telling me what you think God wants, and you want the government to verify it.
No, I just want them to stay out of the way.
Well, they're staying out of the way by saying marry who you want.
No,
that is staying out of the way. No, well, that is staying out of the way. The government is in the way. The government is in the way with something like the Defense of Marriage Act that says if you love somebody of the same gender, that's wrong. The government gets out of the way when it says marry who you love. So actually, if you want the government to stay out of the way, you should support the decision the Supreme Court made.
I love many people of my gender.
We're talking about.
I love my mother.
You know what we're talking about. But if you want the government involved in telling people who they can marry, or you want the government out of the way. Those are two different things. If you want the government out of the way, you would not support the Defense of Marriage Act, which tells people that they can only marry people of the opposite gender. If you want government out of the way, you would support the overturning of that act that says you can marry who you love without the government telling you.
No.
Well, where am I wrong? No, tell me where I'm wrong.
You just are.
Tell me where. Tell me what mistake I made.
You're not allowing the Creator to make a difference in our lives.
No, ma'am. I'm saying.
And where all these people are saying that it's going to hurt our families.
It's not up to the government.
It's not
up to the government to allow the Creator to do anything. It's up to you. If you want to be someone who follows God in a certain way, that's your business. But the government has no business telling you who you can or cannot marry. If you want the government out of the way, as you stated earlier, then the government needs to get out of the way. And if you marry, you should be able to marry who you love. What you really want, Eunice, is the government to sanctify your religious belief.
Probably because it's the right one.
But that's not the. But that's not what our founders didn't want. That.
Wait a minute.
But no, Eunice, that's not what our founders said. Our founders didn't say we're going to sanctify one particular faith. That's not what the First Amendment says. There's an establishment clause in our Constitution where the Constitution and the government is not supposed to do what you just said you want them to do. That is not what our founders had in mind.
And do you believe that our founders ever would have seen that we took such a terrible turn?
I think our founders were smart enough to know that no one religion should be given the sanctification of the government, and that whether you're religious or not is no business of the government. And you're going against what our founders wanted for this country.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Well, why didn't they put God in the Constitution?
Because they didn't want a state religion.
Right, and you're saying like you do want one. Because if you want them to pass laws that agree with what you think God is, that would be a state religion. So you're talking out of both sides of your mouth here. I
want to protect our country from Sodom and Gomorrah.
How are you going to do that? You think you're going to stop people from having sex? If you believe marriage is good and a good institution and that monogamy is good, you should support gay marriage. That's the conservative argument for gay marriage. It supports family values. It supports monogamy. That's the argument that Ted Olson, conservative lawyer, Bush's Solicitor General, made before the Supreme Court. There's a conservative argument for gay marriage. All right, I guess we disagree, Eunice, but I'm glad you called. Thank you for your point of view.
Oh, we have disagreed.
Well, that's fine. Isn't it?
No.
It's not okay that we disagree?
It's a real shame.
We're not allowed to disagree?
It's such a shame because you have such a large voice and you're pushing something that's wrong.
Well, but there's so many conservatives on radio pushing the opposite of what I push, so shouldn't all voices be heard? Should I be shut down?
No, I would not shut you down.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called. Thank you for your voice.
Good night.
We'll be back at 877-367-2526.
How easy is it to get on the air with Alan? Almost too easy.
I mean, do you blame me that I sometimes want to just take my head and hit it against a wall?
Call now at 877-367-2526.